Okay, we're on now. Okay, tell me, Mike, what was you were at the scene of the fire, right?
That's exactly right. Explosion.
So you saw it. Did you see it explode?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you all had been called down there because of just a minor fire of some sort, and then it became a big fire.
I seen the explosion. I went around the corner, and they was setting tunes off for a pager test. And I hollered, folk behind us told me they had set the tunes off. BFD was explosion at the Hermitage.
Yeah.
I went back to the firehouse, got the truck, and come up there, and the explosion was so big that it blew the big ball of fire out on the zone.
So you were there when the ball of fire went?
I was there.
That's when it blew the whole backside out of that thing, right?
There's the whole thing happened.
Okay, now, then when did the fire marshal get there? The next morning. See, I think I drove up by there when he was there. What happened when he got there?
He just got there and they started going and looking and stuff. And
Yeah.
They come down and got me and was asking me where the tanks was being stored. And I went up with another fire marshal and a state trooper and went up and I showed them what I saw and when I was there and went around and this van was sitting back there and where the tanks was, there was somebody went in and took them, but they opened this van up here, there's a bunch of propane tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And some other stuff in there, and they said, well, the fire marshal said we're going to have to confiscate this.
So that's what they were talking about when they said that there were things in the van.
There was things in the van that was used to, yes, that's where they lit it up to.
So they could have exploded, right?
Well, they took it, and that's where they got the stuff to make the taps to do
Yeah.
the propane.
So they were transferring the propane out of the big tank to the little tanks, right? Okay, now, what about the car? You showed them where the car was, right? Or the van?
I took them out back and showed them what I saw where the propane tanks was stored, and that's when the van was sitting there at the back door, and the doors was open on the van.
Yeah.
Cracked open, because somebody went in and removed the tanks where they was the previous night, because they had them stored not only in the back, they had them stored in a room below. And we was told.
Yeah, I heard it had blown up the basement too.
Well, they had them stored down in the rooms. And they told us that night, you know, the firefighters, because we were there to protect, and they said there's a bunch of them down here stored down here in the rooms.
Well, okay. Now back to the car, because that's the issue. The sheriff is trying to blame Donna for that. Tell me what really happened.
The fire marshal from B.J. Roberts and the other fire marshal was there, and the state trooper was there, said they was going to have to cease the vehicle for investigation.
Okay.
And they get on the radio and hollered that had Dave Walton to call for a wrecker to come and get the vehicle.
So Dave Walton is the one that called. Who did he call? Johnny?
No, he called. It was all recorded on 911.
Oh, okay.
He called, radioed in to Pocahontas, and had them send a wrecker up to get it.
But it was Walton that did it. When did you find out that maybe they were blaming Donna for doing it?
I just heard about it when they started about this storage stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're trying to accuse her of neglecting to deal with it, but she wasn't the one that was there.
She wasn't there at all. Her name wasn't even talked about.
And she wasn't even mentioned.
She wasn't even mentioned.
So it would have been hard for her to authorize that, wouldn't it?
Her name wasn't even talked about.
So what you're saying is that Walton is the one that actually authorized the pickup of the car.
B.J. Roberts.
Oh, B.J. Robert. Okay.
Virginia Fire Marshal's office.
Okay.
Wanted the vehicle seized.
Well, what did Walton have to do with it?
Walton was doing the communication because we don't have no cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Into 911.
Uh-huh. But as far as you know, they never called Donna, right?
As far as I know, Donna was never mentioned. Her name wasn't even talked about.
Huh. And the authority then for this pickup of the car was indeed the state fire marshal.
Yes. By the state fire marshal.
And then they tried to blame Donna for authorizing it.
West Virginia Fire Marshal B.J. Roberts, they hollered him on the radio. They hollered at 701 on the radio and wanted him to
Yeah.
get a record. Because they was all for investigating. There was sheriff's department, there was state police, and there was two or three fire marshals, I think.
Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm glad you told me, Mike.
But, you know, tell the truth, don't tell a lie.
Right. That's right. That's what, whoever did it, fess up to it. You know.
I think fire marshals should have to pay the bill off the county.
Right. I do too. And so, how does Johnny end up with this thing?
Because I guess he was the one that had a big record and left the vehicle out there.
So it was Johnny who came to get it?
I wasn't there when the vehicle was removed. After I showed them, they asked me
Oh, okay.
I left because they were sitting there talking about some other stuff and I didn't want involved in it.
Right.
And I just told them what I seen when I was there because I seen the explosion. They asked me what I seen and what I found, and I showed them that. That's when they went back and they had tanks stored in a room. That's when I went to show them that. And somebody had taken the tanks out of there. But that's when all of them come out and the tanks were laying out in the yard because we removed them that night because it was a hazardous situation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you'd have seen the explosion, I mean, I can still remember seeing the explosion.
About what time of night was that?
It was about between 19 to 7:30.
Yeah.
So it was our 7:30 tones, and for the whole county, and the tones was going off when I called it in.
Well, that's interesting, really is. Who was the initial person to report that?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, okay. So you were an eyewitness to most of this, right?
I was an eyewitness to the explosion happening, and I was there to see that, you know, I was there the first engine on the scene.
Yeah.
You know. And,
well, why do you think Janice would be so hard to blame Donna for this?
I don't know.
He would have known. Was Janice there?
He was there. I think he was there a little bit the next morning.
Okay. But Walton was there the entire time, right?
No, they had a couple of county deputies. Dave Walton showed up at night. It was Brian Shinneberry, David Brock, and then they had what do you call it, the new program, the auxiliary.
Oh, the sheriff's auxiliary. That might explain the problem. They don't know what they're doing.
They sit there the whole night. The auxiliary sit there the whole night.
Well, so you kind of think that it was Janice is just trying to set Donna up, make her look bad, right?
Somebody is.
Yep.
Because it wasn't, Donna Price's name was never mentioned.
Okay. Well, you would know.
It was never mentioned. I mean, you know, I think that the state fire marshal also needs to pay the bill.
Yeah. Well, that's $11,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, because it was a big van. It was something that couldn't be handled by a small wrecker and had to be handled by a medium-sized wrecker.
No, okay.
It wasn't a small vehicle. It was a large vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a big vehicle, but it could be handled by
Right, I know what you're talking about. It's probably well, it could have been as much as a ton van, couldn't it?
It was over a ton.
Yeah.
It was an old bread truck van.
Oh, okay.
It was made into a...
Well, they were really hauling freight with that gas, weren't they?
Yeah.
Of course, you know, gas at about, what, $4 a gallon?
Yeah.
I guess they was making some money, wasn't he?
Somebody was doing something because, I mean, across the way, I mean, I never heard no more about the boy, but...
Well, do you figure, Mike, you wouldn't know probably, but did you figure that maybe what caused that particular, was it a spark or somebody smoking a cigarette or match or just ignited?
What I think happened is they was down there and they was still in the propane.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't turning the tanks, and one of the tanks that fell over and didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls had complained for a couple weeks up there that they was gas smell up there really strong. And I think they wasn't doing it right, and it was just the right temperature, and it was just enough gas, and he went down and hit the light switch and kaboom.
Yeah. Ooh, bad.